All right, let's get ready for the fantastic show. All right, there we go. A few seconds left. We're ready to go, go, go. All right, here we go. Let's make the fantastic switch right the second. See if we can do a nice little switch there. One, two, and three. Look at that. Everyone, this is the Betterment Broadcast. This is the 157th show. Yes, that means 157 times the community has come together to try to work on solutions for black people. Very good. The idea is that many people do the same thing, and before you know it, we have solutions galore. Excellent. So we start as we always start. Some people find it shocking when they're new, but you get used to it. When it comes to working as a collective with only black people on matters that benefit black issues, black progression, and black ownership, black people are collectively inadequate. Yep, it's very true. Individually, you might find a non-black person who shows some kind of camaraderie towards black people. However, collectively, black people have no friends. That's right. And constructive black man with constructive black woman makes a constructive black family. These are the three starting statements, the Trinity of Triumph. Yes, if you understand this when you're trying to help black people, you will never be swayed. Trust me. Try it. Let me know. All right. Cool. So naturally, this is a community show, so we're going to throw the link out. And when we do, we only ask you to uphold four values. That's right. Discipline, dedication, dignity, and discernment. The four Ds. If we can observe and practice these four, we will make helping black people just that teensy bit more easier, which is always nice. That's right. All right, cool. Try to use derogatory language. Try to use descriptive language when possible. And that'd be super fantastic. What is Black Betterment for those who are new, those on the future time looking back? It's black people helping black people on black issues for betterment. That's right. It's a lifestyle. We promote the lifestyle of Black Betterment on this show. Hopefully, you will learn it, practice it, and then do your own shows and your own A, B, C, D, E, F, G kind of stuff, and implement the concept of a lifestyle of helping black people. Great. We're going to show some videos. That's for scholarship purposes. It's not our stuff. Blah, blah, blah. Excellent. Oh. Don't forget the Black Betterment Building Instagram, which is where we promote this show. So go there, tell your friend to tell a friend to look at it and follow it. That'd be fantastic. Remember, this show, even though I'm the host, it really is you guys are the main superstars because it's what you guys do that makes the show. So the link is actually in. I think it should be stuck at the top of the forum now. If you wish to jump in, you can. Basically, how it works is I'm going to talk about some topics, and by all means, you can jump in at your 10 pence piece. But if not, we'll just do that. Sadly, we won't have not well, we're having a special guest, Empress Kush, week to week on the Rise in Africa, which is a great segment last week. Well done to the sister. She couldn't she had some prior arrangements when it comes to the research this week. She couldn't really do it, which is fine. We're always going to have a on the fly kind of way of doing stuff, and that's why we always have two other topics that we're going to cover. So this topic is very important because these topics are rebounds of last week. Those who checked last week and what's going on in the interweb, um, this is what we're turning last topics into new topics because they're connected, but it's the same thing. So what are the two topics we're going to cover today? Well, how do we protect the black community from scammers? Very important one. We're going to unpack that. Very very important. And does the aftermath of the Peckham shop assault demonstrate black men protecting black women? Very important as well. Unfortunately, there was a sister. It went to an Asian-owned it's a beauty shop. Maybe I think they call it a beauty shop, and I think she wanted to return something, and she was assaulted. We've got the video. So what we should do? Let's look at the. Oh, which one should I do first? Maybe yeah, let's do the sister who was assaulted. The reason we're going to cover that is because it's very important because we always want to see visually a black men defending black women. It's now become a trope. This concept of black women are under attack and black men don't. And to be honest, it's not even necessarily that black men don't protect black women. It's more so once once there is something that's happening to the women in your group, naturally the first line of defense should always be the black man. And there's other philosophies that go out there that try to undermine that concept of defending your own women. And we'll talk about that in a minute, some of those philosophies, because naturally, when the system was attacked, we saw many black men jump in, but we saw some who didn't. We'll cover that. But let's watch a video now. Where is it? I think it's this one. All right. So I'll talk it through because it's all right at the moment. So for those who can't see, I'll explain. The footage online shows a shop owner choking a woman he accused of stealing. And just there's also a lot of white supremacist, UK-based, suspected white supremacist, UK-based shows that heavily tackling this, and their angle is she's trying to steal. That's their narrative. Some people ain't best pleased with the way that she might behave, whether it is, but nevertheless, whether that's true or not true, this is a very big man, and as you can see, a very Asian man who owns a store. She's come back to give back some. Well, let me read it. Let me do my own narration. Online choking. So she's been in full Nelson choked, and I'm gonna say his name terribly. Shohali Sindua. That's not his name, but as best I could. Yeah, the Peckham hair and Comex. That's what it is in South London. So that's what they describe what it is. That's what it says. It also says he's restraining a woman. He claimed attempted to take items from the shop. She was trying to replace the broken one. He didn't do it. There's some other videos of other people doing the same thing, trying to bring back broken goods and him refusing. The police said the woman had been arrested on suspicion of assault and later bailed. Okay, there you go. So naturally, the community was outraged, and big up brother Respect from Forever Family. He got a collective of the guys together to go down there. Big up Titans TV. Big up Kush T. Welcome. Got some of the brothers to go down there to lend the hands. So I think there we go. Have a sneak peek. Excellent. All right. And those brothers were making a whole lot of videos saying how they protect black women and that. So we move on to as you know, some of the manosphere, there might be one or two black men who are very critical about black women, and they come from the manosphere, and they're overly critical. And you might see one or two of their stuff circling, saying, the woman, she was trying to steal, so the man was justified. Very interesting to see black men say this. One thing I was asked, this is the problem you're going to have in the black community, right? Is because and this is something you just have to learn, because black people are so despised, and this is just what it is, right? You can never use you can never use an example of a black person to demonstrate something. So you will have to say, okay, let's remove the black woman being manhandled by this bigger man. Imagine this was, say, someone from his community. So let's imagine an Asian woman in a hijab, traditional garb, and the same thing happened, and you had a Jamaican or Nigerian man with his hands around this woman. The uproar will go around the world. But unfortunately, with black people, we don't really see that. That's why even some of our unsynchronized men, they don't really react that way. But naturally, the brothers from Forever Family and some of the other men who went down there, they saw this as a problem. Remember that example I just gave you there of how things are perceived, the process when it's a black person. And the way to really tug at the heartstrings is to reverse it. Put a non-black person in that role and go, what if scenario? And then you see people crying and throwing bricks everywhere because they won't accept it, you see? And this is what happens. So one other thing that's very important about this particular situation, I think I might even have, let me see if I'm just see on my actual one, if I've got it. Oh, what you did. There we go. I should really scroll better. So naturally, if we break down what's happening, the sister and many other sisters, they go to a lot of, in the UK, it's Asian from, I want to say India, Pakistan, that kind of, that kind of Asian. While in America, it's more so North Korea, that kind of part of Asia, where a lot of the black women, they go to get the hair cosmetics and stuff like that, and it's big business. I mean, if you sell to black women hair and stuff, you're making a lot. And naturally, you find that many of the individuals don't respect black women at all, unfortunately. And I think brother Chris Rock made a documentary about that right now called, I won't say it's Black Girls Hair, but my memory is not as good as it once was. But the reason I'm saying this is because ultimately, what we want to be doing is practicing something we call co-unity spend. I'm going to go to my actual. Have you come on? Have you gone? Come on. There we go. So yeah, community spend, and the idea is we want to be promoting black businesses really. So the idea is whenever collate all these information, all these videos of black women being assaulted and by non-black shop owners, uh, and really promote black women and black people in general to support. Now, what we did before COVID came is we got a whole lot of black businesses in London area, but it will expand. And then the idea was to just shop there systematically and try to buy as much as possible, take pictures, make a hoo ha, make an event. And the idea is to train black people to actually buy black products from black people, right? Rather than to people who despise black people. Um, so I think that, and let me even say despise. I think what it is, it's very easy to not like black people. It's very easy to I guess not care about the humanity of black people automatically. I'm reminded of the case in America in the 90s when the riots happened, where there was that young 14-year-old sister who went to a North Korean shop. She she had an orange juice or something like this. She put the money on the counter, but the Asian shopkeeper didn't see it. So then the Asian shopkeeper, I think, pulled at her, and then she naturally reacted and hit the woman in the face, and then she then turned around and went to leave, and then the shopkeeper picked up a gun and shot her back in the head, 14-year-old, and killed. And then to make things worse, the shopkeeper wasn't charged. She got away free, and this caused a massive riot, rightly so. And this is what happened. It's very natural to see black women, black boys as older and attack, and this is what we have to understand. We see it time and time, regardless of what country. Whenever you have different people groups in one space, this seems to be the automatic kind of response. So once again, how we should respond is black first and support black businesses. So if there's, we have the database. I have to get it somewhere. I've got it's located somewhere. But give us all your. I've actually been collating it for enough. Give us all your black beauty places in London and Birmingham and Bristol, this kind of place. And what we'll do is we'll pull it at the end of this show and we'll promote that because black women buying cosmetics and beauty stuff is very big business. So we can actually incorporate it into the show. And a big up Kush D as well. I think it's called Good Hair. You missed the D, I think. Maybe it's called Good Hair, but Good Hair from Chris Rock. So definitely check that out, sisters, if you haven't seen it. Yeah, so that's what it is. So now, if there's anything people like to talk about that, by all means, this is a show for you to jump and have your say because we're gonna move on to the next topic, which is scammers. But if there's anything you guys wanna, because we're gonna come back to it anyway and have a talk. The link's there. Feel free to jump in, have your say. Was the sister wrong there? Did you see the men that came out? Because ultimately, that the most important good from that is, did black men come out to defend? Now, the reason we're saying that before we move on is we know that black men defend black women, of course, but it comes down to how black women feel from the experience they've seen, the overall numbers, and more importantly, making a hoo-ha about it. You see, when it comes to not protecting black women, you might find many unsynchronized black men who make a massive hoo-ha about it. I'm not doing that. And they start. I'm not. I spoke about this in Speaker School last week. I forgot the terms I used, but I have to write down. But it's I read it somewhere. But basically, what it is obviously, whenever it comes to will you defend a black woman, and this is going to tie into the next one very nicely. So keep listening. When it comes to defending a black woman, you might get the what if scenario, like well, what if she's been attacked by a person who's an expert in kung fu and carries all kinds of machetes and has magic powers, whatever. And this is what happens. Like in the time you ask them, do you defend black women or should you defend black women? They'll tell these stories. And I think the trick is to not tell those stories, because remember you're writing the script now, so no one told you to say that. You can say, well, what if you saved her life, or what if everyone came together to stand up for justice, and you paint a picture of that kind of stuff. I recommend we do that and create those kind of narratives. That will work better. But let us know what you think. This is something we have to be doing. I think she helped herself hitting the owner. I think she helped herself hitting the owner with the basket 8 times after he let her go. Oh, I think you mean that she didn't help herself. Yes, and that's the thing. You got to control your aggression when you're in these kind of places. because they will use against you. And like I said, this particular case is on a lot of those suspected white supremacist UK YouTube shows and news shows where they love to use this tone. When they say woke, it's an insult towards black people usually. And go, the woke media and black people, got a chip on the shoulder, that kind of stuff. Never good, never good. But we're gonna segue into the other one now. Let me get to the top, and the scammers. Now, why do we talk about scammers? So let me tell you something about. I've been doing black belt work for many years now, and I've been going all around, all over the place, trying to, work with other brothers and sisters to do constructive work. And unfortunately, you get many black people who just don't trust black people. Now, there's a history of why that is, and there's multiple reasons why that is. But one of the ones that's come up quite consistently is, oh, you guys must be scammers. As in, there has been a history of people selling snake oil or deceiving black people. And that's why we've got to really call that out. We've got to really call that out when we see it, because me personally, I recommend black economics is important. But a lot of the stuff I do when it comes to publicly is there is no money required. There is no give your bank details, whatever like this. Primarily because coming from the stigma of scamming and this kind of stuff, you never want that to be a conversation starter. So you take away that weapon from people. Go, oh, you only here to take money from people and this kind of stuff, right? But this comes from people who scam. And the reason we're saying is because I think a few weeks on the 3rd, I think it was, there was a sister in America, Somali sister, and she said she was hit with a brick in the face. And naturally, when this happened, many people outraged, and constructive men came out and said, "God defend her," and black women, "God defend black women." And then as time went by, new videos started coming out, and they started, questioning, was this woman hit in the face? I think first they said she was touching her face a lot, and usually if you're hit, you wouldn't do that. And then they started showing videos of her a few hours earlier wearing a mask in a club, and saying she's wearing a mask in the club because she was covering her face was already this way. And some says it's either an allergic reaction to something or injecting with something. Then some people started showing videos of years back where she was referring to herself as a Muslim mother needing money for her kids. And then another one where she referred to herself as, I think she was slapped by someone. I can't remember, forgive me. But there seems to be a lot of fundraising. But what was interesting was she never actually said there was a crime to the police, and I haven't really seen her do any interviews. So here's from what I take from this. When a person is attacked or they're in distress, and the first thing they do is reach for a camera and face it themselves and start speaking, then you might think that might be quite extra, but you might think, you know what, that might be the person. That person isn't trying to chase clout. They generally are distressed, and they're trying to stream to users to show their feelings. But what's peculiar is, but that action doesn't continue later on when we're trying to find out who is this man, can you describe him, we want to get him out of the community. So that's very suspicious. Now the reason why it's very important is because this sister, she's seen showing I'm a black woman, she's seen supporting the LGBT, and she's consistently saying black men are attacking her. But now, if this is all lies, plus she does the whole white supremacy role play thing that we've seen, where she slaps white men in some kind of role play, videos. Yeah, this is very destructive. And now, if you're actually scamming people, where this is like a setup and stuff, this is not going to go down really well. But what we say is, anyone who mentioned protecting them, like this channel, we have to call this out. But also, black women as well. Anything you jump on, whenever you see it doesn't work out, you have to go back and say, brothers and sisters, yeah, this is not best. Like lying and this kind of stuff on camera, and you have to check sisters. So let me play a video of a brother's thing, and he'll go into it.
To have gotten hit in the face after
forgiveness, he says any kind of swear words. I haven't checked it.
Turning down a young man that was asking for her phone number.
Also, there was a Haitian brother who said he saw it, and he didn't get involved because she's a troublemaker, and if he saw it again, he'll do the same. If this isn't true, then is he in on the swindle? Who knows?
She went viral, And then people started to pick apart the content of her character to understand the likelihood that she is telling the truth. The GoFundMe account, which has accumulated over $40,000, is now officially under investigation. But before that, let's go through the update that the bricked young lady posted on her GoFundMe. So you'll see here that although they've reached over the $25,000 goal, the donations have slowed up. I think it's been at $41,000 for a couple of days now, as the content of her character, as well as the likelihood of the legitimacy of what it is that happened to her, came into question. Here is her update, posted by this Kiara lady, who's not a public figure to my knowledge, so I won't dive into who she is. But thank you all again for your support. As many of you have seen, beyond the physical assault itself, Rhoda is now the subject of online attacks and accusations of scamming. Okay, it's interesting also as well that this post comes up right after the money has slowed down. Anyway, these are baseless claims and bullying and harassment. It's incredible to think that the questioning of the legitimacy of the story, when we poked so many damn holes into it, comes across as bullying.
No, so a lot of the men who are speaking against this are in the manosphere or black manosphere kind of space. Those who don't know, black manosphere is a place where it was meant to be for men, helping men to be better men, and then to defend black men from being swindled or being used by women. And then it grew into a whole lot of other stuff. But yeah, that's another thing. When you do these kind of scams, especially if you're a black woman, you'll be giving these kind of men fuel. That's what they want. A lot of some of these channels that come out, they really want to go, "Told you so." You all jumped out to protect her, but and they do that kind of thing. We only protect our sisters, our daughters, and our mothers, and I understand it. But once again, I haven't developed the word yet, but it's this kind of epic storytelling when it comes to defending people, where you make it the most extreme thing. People have to understand, when you defend people, it could be just you seeing if they're okay, or getting them to safety, or taking a number down, or seeing a registration number or something. Being constructive and helpful as much as you can within your power. But let's carry on listening. Let's see what people say.
But it's weaponized words in order to escape accountability. Please do not believe them.
I think the link is in there. People feel free to jump in and give your opinion if you want. There is no right or wrong answer. I say be constructive. But we gotta remember, regardless of what you say, we're trying to find ways to work with black people, to help black people. That's what we're doing. So we try not to be confrontational. Unfortunately, within the space, we see the black man versus the black woman as a very good clickbait kind of thing. We don't use that here, so
Top of navigating all of,
but we do want, just like black men have to reform black men, black women have to reform black women. So if you see any kind of funny behavior, you have to call it out.
This backlash and continued violence. I'm sorry, was someone else hit in the face with a brick? What do you mean continued violence? Again, weaponizing words to make it seem worse than what it actually is. She's now expected to prove and parade her abuse. No.
So we were scammers as well, and this is part one of the scam, because last week we also covered another individual known as Brother Polite, who's in prison at the moment for sexual misconduct, something like this, towards a 14-year-old. But before this happened, he demonstrated that he was, well, we've got the video, so we may not give away all the twists and turns of it.
No one is expecting that. People actually want a description of the assailant. Remember, this was about protect.
Very important. Sometimes when these things happen, you really want to analyze what's happening. Like, so a man has thrown a brick at a woman because he wanted her number, allegedly. So it's in the best interest of the community to know who this man is, because we know there's a man who throws bricks at black women. You see? So by the sister, not, if she's telling the truth, not giving this information, then she's doing the community a disservice, because this man will do this again.
Black women. If you give us a description of who it is that hit you, then perhaps it can increase the likelihood of the cops finding whoever this person is. Or how about an explanation of how so many situations in her life have turned into violence or a description of why exactly she refers to black women and black men in such repugnant terms? Or how about an explanation of why you wanted $25,000?
That's another thing. She was hitting the brick and she asked for $25,000. What was, I'm not too sure what they were saying it was for, but seems very specific.
After you receive the brick. Neither of us are interested in arguing with trolls or evil people on the internet. Well, how
Now, this
about
sister who's Somali, the reason I say is because there's a lot of things she was doing, and I think the Somali community, the ones I spoke to, tried to disown her. I think one was because she obviously doesn't come across as a traditional Somali woman to them, but also she was talking a lot about the LGBT stuff, and she was very. The thing is, here's what it is, right? There's always, who is black, who is not black, stuff going on. In the Black Betterment, we identify all sub-Saharan Africans as black people. But naturally, and when you come to England, this is the case with what they call IC3. But the thing is, not all people in the diaspora or in the African world identify as black when they come to certain places. Some because in their country there's no need for such terms. Some because they generally don't approve of other black groups and they try to disassociate. I've met many. But the thing is, each black group has a unique history, right? So I have to understand that, South Africa, Ethiopia, Haiti, Dominica, whoever, there's a unique history. So whenever I'm around that culture, I can't really use certain terms in a certain way, like black people are monolith, right? So the fact that she's slapping white people, saying, you did bad to us, and really hamming up this kind of, I don't know, this kind of, what was it? Can't think of it now, but it's and the cosplay as well, like getting white people to agree, and I think there were some other guys from certain parts of Africa that would do that as well in Canada and America and stuff, but they will go around and they'll say, yeah, you could say the N word, I'll give you £10 to say the N word. And this is where you got to be very careful that, even though you're black or whatever, you're tapping into other people's black culture and you're not using it appropriately, right? And I think this woman, I don't think this woman necessarily identifies as black anyway. Really, I think it really, if it's always a true scam, but these are the dangers where you're trying to embrace all black people for being black, but these things happen and it causes more confusion, right? But nevertheless, there is many brown sisters from similar lands who do amazing work, and it's to them we must focus. Like I said, when it comes to seeing black people around the diaspora, you want to focus on those who do, not those who don't. It's about the synchronized people, not the unsynchronized. So we don't necessarily want to judge a whole nation of people by the actions of a few unsynchronized people. But once again, the moral of the story is if you are a woman and you see black women acting out of place, especially when it comes to scamming, go call it out, because scamming is a huge, it's not, I would say it's a huge issue in the black community. It's a huge issue in the perception of people who don't want to practice black betterment, and they'll use, too many scammers in it, right? So you got to shoot it out. And I think it's an easy community to scam because people are so disheartened. People they don't trust the system, and they try to trust our own people, and we're trying to start our own business and stuff, and that people have open hearts to it, but sometimes they don't. So let me skip to a bit. Let me see. There's a bit where there's a sister. Keep my guys. Here we go. If you want to jump in, click the link. Let's read some of the comments. Some Somali think they're Arabs and not black. This is true. And there's some of the identity is a very interesting thing. Whenever I'm in Speaker's Corner, these places, when you get black people from different ethnic groups, they go, well, what do black people share in common? This kind of stuff. Why is black important? And there's a million philosophies you can bring forward to push forward. But the most important one I say is what ties black people together is black betterment. There you go. A lifestyle of black people working with black people to find a solution. Now, whether you identify as black or you're seen as black or whatever, I remember I was talking to an East African sister, and she was saying she didn't identify as black. And then she was saying her and her friends were going on holiday. And she goes, "Oh, I had to ask them how they treat black people over there. Because you always have to check how a nation you're be to treat black people so you don't get mistreated." So even though she didn't identify as black, she knows she would be identified as black. And that's important. And what I'm saying is that's how black betterment works, isn't it? You collate with other black people to do constructive work, right? And it shouldn't be a hard task. Now, let's listen to this conversation. Then we're gonna jump to the other scam story. Don't forget, you click the link, family. This show will be about an hour long if no one jumps in. I'm very tired. That's good because I've drank caramel tea and it's going to make you sleepy, which is what I'm trying to be. So this is this. Then we'll jump into the brother polite scam story. But this is
the thing about it is she might have made that police report, but she's not telling us what the assailant looks like. So how does that help empower black women who might be in the Houston area? That's what I'm saying, because the police department is not giving us any information as well. Even if she did go to you guys and file the report, how come you guys are not updating your sites on what we need to be looking for? I mean, a man assaulted a woman for saying no to her, him asking her for a number. I think we should know at least what the guy looks like so we can be on alert and help out.
Very fair.
So we're just making sure this isn't a hoax, because she keeps giving people updates but not telling us anything about the assailant. If I was attacked with a brick, I'm going to tell you he's tall with dreads, gold teeth. We have nothing but her saying she filed a police report, and that's not enough for us.
Okay.
And this incident happened over a weekend, a couple days ago, and we still don't know nothing. I just want to confirm that it is an investigation going on. She couldn't even tell us that much. Anyone can file a police report, but how does that empower the next black woman who could be a victim of this man with the brick? That's all I'm saying.
Okay. What's her last name?
Osman, Osman.
What's the first name?
Rhoda, Roda. She went live on TikTok September the 3rd to let everyone know that she was assaulted. So that's how long this case has been, and we know nothing. And I just want to make sure my family is safe. That's all. Yes, because her being a black woman saying that there's a man going around assaulting black women for not giving up their phone number, that's pretty dangerous. And in my history, anyone that's ever been assaulted, they give you a description of a person. We know nothing of what this black man looks like. We just know he's black. And that's just not enough for us when it's been almost a week and a few days.
I think what's interesting about this line of questioning is that, remember from the original video, she was exclaiming that she got hit in the face with a brick. Now, off the top, going live after something like that has happened prior to the police being there is odd. But if you go up on TikTok to talk about this, her focus was on shaming the men around her. It was not on exposing whoever this person was.
very true. This is very true. The focus was on not being defended. And this was similar to one of the old videos she did before as well.
Was. Again, very peculiar and odd behavior. I would imagine that the majority of women that has had something like this happen to them would not hesitate to give a description.
So you can say you filed the police report, but can you at least tell us what we need to be on the lookout for? So if we see this individual, we can call it in and help you.
I think the police might be involved now, as in for scamming. Because, and that's the thing, it's interesting how we just don't think about certain things, right? If this didn't happen, then this is a scam, right? And that's against the law. Like accountability, you have to, you can't do that.
That's all.
She has no information, so there's no way you're going to know.
So is that why you guys haven't been able to report anything to the public? Because you guys don't have enough
That's
detail?
correct. If she don't give me the information, how are we supposed to go find somebody?
That is very true, ma'am. And I'm sorry that's happening. Is there any...
Once again, I think the evidence is out. And that's another thing. It's me personally, right? It's very hard because when I go Speaker's Corner and I'm speaking live and people jump in, by some people's personalities, you can kind of see where they're going or their past or what problematic behaviors they have that's connected to other things. So you find that many new speakers will go to Speakers Corner and then, give it a week or a month. There's, life issues, family issues, or they did this to their wife, or they did this to their son, or they owe this person this, whatever it is, because it really speaks on their personality. You can see it. But part of being like a consistent speaker and a respectful speaker is you don't just assume things, or you don't conclude and go, yeah, you're this, you're that. You give people the benefit of the doubt because you could be wrong. But I think at a certain point, we need to have a word or something to put someone in purgatory or isolation, or some kind of zone where, because of the evidence, they're not to be trusted until further evidence comes out. And I think that because with this, the evidence is too much. But the reason I say it is because we're going to segue into Brother Polite. And there was consistent things he was doing before all these other things coming out to show that his character wasn't the best. And, obviously I jumped in, but I didn't really speak out. My thing then was, all right, ignore him. He's now turned to another direction. Not that we do any work, anyway. But I think what we should be doing, though, is if ever we cover them, or if ever they say they're in a certain constructive light, to highlight, the pro-Mac behaviors. It's a very tricky one because you don't want to spread negativity. You want to focus on positivity, but sometimes if you let these things simmer, it affects so much people negatively, and we're going to see that today. So let's try have a sneak peek at Brother Polite. For those who don't know, this is a gentleman who's currently in jail for sexual molestation, battery, on a 14-year-old who he identified as his daughter, but was the daughter of his alleged wife. He has more than one wife, and he's in jail at the moment.
I gotta get back on the West Coast and play with my toys. I got Rolls Royce toys. Lamborghini. Let's go, mama.
So that's another thing, and this is another thing. Like, what happens is, and this is something you might observe in Speakers Corner as well, where someone comes out and this is their topic. So they're wearing dashikis and they're saying, black woman is God, this kind of stuff. And then they get in a certain platform, maybe they go on some kind of channel, whatever it is, and then they're wearing different kind of clothes, they're wearing fashion labels. They don't say black woman is God, or before they have very strong feelings towards Europeans, then afterwards they're trying to date Europeans, whatever it is. And so for me, all this is like supreme red flags, right? This is the dynamic opposite. And that's why I say understanding a person's ideology, what they stand for, is key. By osmosis, we're looking to help all black people, but by association, no. You see, so osmosis, everyone; association, very limited, right? And they have to have the same ideology in it. So the ideology we push forward is Black Betterment, which is black people helping black people on black issues, and then you have certain fundamentals, right? You have certain fundamentals like, okay, B1. So in all areas of activity, you're trying to promote this. So that could be the three fundamental activities that we should focus on at the moment are black economics, black ownership, and black families. You see? So these are the things you push, right? So if people can't agree with that and they're compromising that, then big problematic. But let's carry on listening.
Get out here.
Forgive there's some crackling. The guy who went up on the internet, he must be new to audio, and this crackles everywhere.
Where we traveling to now? You gotta
As you can see, I'm a sound engineer, so I know.
travel. This is what we do. I'm with the road team.
That's his daughter. That's his actual biological daughter.
What's up? You got my man.
Unfortunately, because of his crimes, he can't actually be around his daughter. I think because he has to be supervised around any young. But saying that though, by the time he comes out of jail, she might actually be a woman. Yeah, she might be in her 20s, I think. If you're like, I'm assuming she's like the same age as the woman the girl, forgive me, as the girl he was seen trying to molest her. Yeah, oh gosh. But I think by the time he comes out of jail, she might be a woman.
Eat with me. Stop what I say every day. Come on, speak like all the people polite follows.
So this individual, I remember seeing this quite early. This was a guy who, and this is another thing about scammers, you see, very important. And you see in when you do community work, there's so many people who really want to help black people and want to push black people because the negativity is so high that when they see a charismatic speaker, they'll jump in and they'll go in all guns blazing for that particular individual. This brother, I think he inherited some money from his father, quite a lot. Like I want to say, let's say he'll say it might be 70,000 or so. I can't remember. But either way, he pretty much gave it all to Brother Polite. And obviously, he's realizing that all his money was spent elsewhere and it wasn't used for whatever he thought it was. If anything, I don't know. Maybe if it'll get it back, who knows? Let's listen.
Well, what happened?
But already, that's already too much to give away your life savings to someone.
King Lo, I don't even want to say that, but I DM all of.
Now, obviously, there's some mental issues. I assume there, that as there's for many people in general. That's why I go look out for people who might do this stuff. Some people are very easy to exploit, and it's a shame. And people like to go towards charismatic people. You see?
Floyd, all of them. I DM'd all of them. I'm saying I DM Sonetta, I DM Supernova, I DM everybody that Polite follows and let.
So he's explaining that I told every single person who I see him on TV with that he's a scammer, but no one really got back to me.
Tell him, yo, this is what Polite did to me. No response. Only person responding with King Lowe's. Not to put you out there, bro, but that's why I appreciate that. The only person to respond, he didn't really respond, but he was just like, what happened, bro?
See, brother.
You know, me and King Lowe's didn't really have the conversation. Like, I saw him in the studio, was like, what's up? He barely talked to me, I didn't, but he was like, oh, you're a farmer? Like, in the studio? Like, that's dope, And that's all he said.
Talk about the fact that you're a con artist. I can talk about the fact that people pay you money so you can change their status. And
so this is the thing. This once again, this is me as some brothers will tell me they've met this guy individually. In America and some other places, whatever, and yeah, very funny movements then. And this is the thing. This is when you got to be distance yourself from people and call it out. I saw funny movements from this individual, and yeah, it's I don't know. It's like not even in hindsight, but everything about the body movement, the things he says, seems very questionable.
Get them sovereignty.
Also, this like alluring people with big words and talking. That's why I keep saying, what is a person saying? You see, when I go to Speed's Corner, it's very, very simple. It's like black people help with black people, black issues. I don't need to know no supernatural stuff. Just black people are mistreated. They have a history of being misused and abused. Other communities see a value in working together and prospering, but because we've studied the art of subservience. We specialize in subservience to other groups. We need to end that and find a way to be self-fulfilling for our own group, self-determinated. And the only way to do that, for I can see it, is a lifestyle that is promoted and trained to everyone. And that is be one, black first. Do, whenever it's constructively possible, do constructive things with black people. And the three fundamental things I push forward is black families, black economics, and black ownership. Black families is constructive black man and constructive black woman, making a constructive black family. Black economics is each one teach one, network of black businesses, trying to promote them, hire black workers, look for black workers first when you can, promote. Black ownership is make sure any kind of intellectual property idea that comes from the black community is controlled, run, and seen to be owned by black people, right? What you find is those three things we mentioned are all intertwined. Just so you know, the reason we say everything should be holistic when you're trying to build, right? So, as you know, one of the biggest anxieties you come across with black men, unfortunately, is when you say, marry a black woman. Many might, want to marry a non-black woman or be with a non-black woman. And the reason we say is because obviously your wife is your first business partner, but also she's your optical branding. So if you're successful and people see it, that's promoting black love. But also when you're dealing with holistic concepts, you have to recognize that unfortunately, definitely, you tend to find that many black women are struggling to find good black men. There's many reasons for that. There's the education factor, the death factor, the homosexual factor, the did I say education factor? I did say education factor. The being rich and marrying someone else factor, and then there's also the factor that I always say this: naturally, as a black man, we find black women, synchronized black men find black women exceptionally beautiful. However, there are the non-black person who does not value the black phenotype. So that means if you have a black man who you have less options for black men, less educated in some areas, and other men who do not want to interact with black women, and black men, when they get rich, do not want to interact with black women on a certain ratio, then naturally black women are going to go without. That's why we say it's holistic. So we promote black families because it's obviously beneficial for black people, but also it helps black women, which is very important. And part of that as well is also protecting black women. Hence why the first thing we started, do black men protect black women, and we demonstrated on this particular case with the woman in the lady sister in the cosmetic shop. Black men came to her aid, which is very good. All right, so let me skip some of this stuff. Hold on. So we're just gonna get some testimonies of other people of their interaction with it.
For life, because Chad is a fraud. You know what I'm saying? Chad had a property auction. You know what I mean? And I bought so-called piece of land from the cat. Gave my $4,300, and he just get down. I've been trying to get at him. He texted me like one time, said he could meet him, and he never was there. And basically, he gave me the runaround, and I know mad people do the same thing too. You know what I'm saying? The whole time I'm thinking the dude is right in the back, but I should have known.
No such thing as sovereignty paperwork.
So one thing he was selling was sovereignty. I think someone will explain better than me, but I think it's like if you're it's a correctional thing. So if you've got a crime, there's certain things you kind of can't do, but he was selling a way around that. This is one of the brothers who worked with him.
A lot of people are wasting money. A lot of people are getting hurt. A lot of people are thinking they're in organizations that have their back, and they have this paperwork, and they're taking certain legal stances.
We'll look at the pick on the brothers in jail, Brother Polite. We're using him as a case study just to highlight the importance of awareness of scammers. And it's safe to say he, because of the consistency of what he's doing, he has scammed. And that's, I guess, something I'm going to learn to actually call something, because sometimes you never want to falsely claim something. I think in this situation, the evidence is out that not only is the a predator, he's also a scammer. Yeah.
And when they go to the courtroom, they find out they by themselves. When they
We're based in the UK, and we're gonna have our version of that. So when we see them, we must call them out.
get to the police station, they find out they by themselves.
As y'all may know, I may be in contact with a few people.
This is a guy called Pharaoh. He was also scammed by him. I'll skip this. But, young Pharaoh, I think his name is. This guy, the sisters. This is sisters who done stuff with him. There's a link there, brothers. If you want to have your opinion on black scammers in the community, or the situation where the sister was assaulted by the Asian shop keeper, let us know.
Where he also addressed me, Brother Polite.
All right.
And so I wanted to put it out there because I also watched another video about a woman being ripped off by Brother Polite she said either 4 or 5 years ago, but she swept it under the rug because she couldn't she couldn't believe that she was so much in shock that Brother Polite scammed her that she couldn't even believe it. And she was also a New Covenant member. So I wanted to do another video.
So I think he formed his own collective called New Covenant.
Addressing Brother Polite, and this is the last video that I'm going to do about New Covenant or Brother Polite. But I want to say this, and anybody can take this video and do whatever they want to do with it.
So all these videos were out way before any of the things were happening, and this is stuff that people ignored. He still was invited to certain shows.
For anybody who's a New Covenant member, I want to encourage you guys to tell your story any way you can.
Forgive us for the buzzing. The guy did the audio. This terrible job.
Either you want to go to No Mercy for Scammers, If you want to email,
let me see that, man. This is terrible compression. I don't know what they're doing. We're gonna end this soon. There's just a few more.
Like the trading platforms. I ain't gonna go into it, right? They're using Webull and Robinhood. Like, yeah, fuck it.
I mean, there's a lot. I mean, this is a video where they've collated, a lot of people complaining, and there's a lot. I mean, if you look at the screen, I'm just going through faces and that, and stories and tales. And so this was all out with, and he was. What happened is he could, because he started in the black community, he could then go to the Hollywood community and just escape these kind of behaviors he's done. So yeah, we've got to call that funny behaviors. And I think it's very important to actually establish what someone's doing and why they're doing it, right? So whenever you connect with someone, you establish what is it that they're doing, and here's how I support. Because once again, scammers and this kind of stuff really does affect the community for a long time. That's what it is. Now, family. All right. Empress Kush won't be doing the Africa Rise Speaks this week. But now is normally when we would send the link out, which it should still be out. I'll put it out again just in case we can't see it. Invite. I think it's this one. I hope I did it wrong. Let me put it again. If you wish to have your opinion on the two topics, which are does the aftermath of the Peckham shop assault demonstrate black men protecting black women? What's your thoughts on? You could talk about how black men reacted to it, or the community reacted to it, or the actual case itself. Was the sister wrong? Was she right? Because there is that narrative going around as well. And then obviously scammers in general. Maybe your experiences. Do you trust black organizations because of a past thing? Let us know. We'll send the link out there. If you wish to jump in, feel free. We will end the show soon. If not, I think we went over I'll go over again for those who just joining late about the solution to the sisters being attacked in the non-black hair product stores, and that is to go to black-owned stores. You see, so we did say we'll try to collate as many as possible, and we'll promote them in the show. Well, that should be a movement. That should be part of the lifestyle, right? Well, it is part of the lifestyle, support black business. But it's something that we should promote. Like, it's a thing. It's a thing like you feel good by doing it. This is an amazing experience, and we want to teach it. And sometimes you might have to pay a bit more because a lot of other collectives, because they've got a network going, they can afford to charge less for their distribution, while some of the black vendors can't really do that. But when you pay more, it means more because it takes you a long way. I got good stuff. So that's called the co-unity spend. That we think that's out. But generally, there's a concept. We should be promoting black businesses and shopping there. And I do know there are a few sisters who own. I think there's even a store in Forest Gate. I think my guy went from Ghana or somewhere. I remember seeing it. So that there's definitely things out there that we should be completely dedicated to promoting. Trying to think if there's any stuff that I want to say before I go. Any questions? Let us know. Oh, funny enough, we actually demonstrated this. Remember when I was talking about the black family stuff and why it's important, and it's all holistic. So just to see this here, just to go over it. When they're looking at dating apps, they realize that black women. Hold on. Where's the black women? Black women. There we go. I think I'm really right. They're always going for black men, while everyone else is going for white men, apparently. So 10 points to black women there. So it's fantastic. But when you look at black men, they're going for, apparently this might be either America or somewhere, but they're saying the preference would be Asian. And as you can see, the black women is not the preference there. And everyone else seems to find the Asian the preference. Right? I love that include, yeah. And the Asian goes to the Latino there. And then when we look at the lowest response, black women not going for white men. The lowest response is let me see if I can work. So I'm looking so slow here. Yeah. So the lowest response is black men don't seem to be appreciated by other women groups. And then the lowest response from everyone else is towards not wanting the black woman. So already you see there that no one likes black people anyway. And you shouldn't love yourself because people don't like you. You should love yourself because it's baked in the fundamental of how you exist. And that's why we promote black families here. And I always mention it week to week. It's very important. And we have to have campaigns where black men are seen supporting and loving black women. Hence why we brought up the shop scenario. The angle I thought would be better to approach was black men's response to black women being attacked, to squash this concept that black men don't protect black women. If they don't, we definitely will make it a thing that we do. And that's important, you see. Let's read some of the comments, shall we? The black woman in America that lied on black men not helping her should be used as a case study and definitely needs to be punished. Yeah, so that's why I always say templates, right? So the template is when you see someone, it's hard to say, if there's some dodgy dealings going behind the scene. But as a template, if a black woman is being abused, as a template, we want to defend her from being abused in the community. That's a template. And at the time, we might not know, but what we never want to do is walk around saying, well, this could be a scam, so I'm not going to protect. And I see that a lot. I'm not going to help a black woman because, the boyfriend might attack me and then she gets angry at me for trying to help out or whatever. And I think, once again, I have to come up with a word for this, but this kind of like story scripting of the worst case scenario doesn't help our interest. And also the all or nothing at all approach, where if someone's attacking a black woman, I have to then, attack them with a machete and they'll come through. You can shout, you can unite with other people, you can make sure you escort them away, or you can, after the fact, call an ambulance or pick her up and get to safety. I don't know. Write those stories, right? Not the other one. Family, this tea is getting to my head, so I'm getting very tired. By all means, you can jump in if you want to speak on this topic. I'm literally yawning now, so we've got a lot of case studies and stuff. So if you want, jump in. You guys make the show. Let's see if there's anything I should go over before I go home. There's any slide that we benchmark rebranding. For those who don't know what benchmark rebranding is, it kind of ties in. It's where there's a set standard of how people should operate, and someone doesn't want to do that, so they lower the benchmark and make that the benchmark. And as black people, we don't want to do that. We want to always hit that benchmark. Don't let other people rebrand. So find a constructive black woman is the benchmark. Anything away from that, unacceptable. Starting at some point a black economic business is the benchmark. Is the benchmark, right? We also want to make sure that when we're behaving, we want to be as far away from error prone and as close to high principle as possible. Let me break down black belt. I'm going to do this in Speak School at some point. But it's very important that we promote the lifestyle of black betterment. But there's two ways to practice black betterment. There's the black betterers and the black betterment builders. Let's break that down. So if you are only participating in one activity for black people, meaning you want to teach black people how to play football or something, or make a computer, and that you do that every week, whatever, then that's one activity, and you can say you're a builder, right? In other areas, you're not really focused. It's just, you've picked one or two things to do. That's what I do. Also, I'll come back to that in a bit. Yeah, but if you're someone who tries to spend every single opportunity helping black people, and that's baked into your philosophy, then you will be seen as a black bearer, right? And the only caveat is if a black bearer does not intend to marry a black woman or be with a black woman, then he or she will lose that title of black betterer, and then by default become a black betterment builder. If you're a black betterer, by default, you have to want to be with a black woman. You don't have to end up with one because sometimes you can't find one, or maybe you for other reasons, but you have to intend. You cannot intend with anyone else. The reason we say that is because if you go to Google at the moment and you type in pro-black, the most predominant question that comes up is, can you be pro-black and marry a white woman? So this is part of being collectively inadequate, where the most important question that seems to come up is, can you be pro-black and marry a woman outside the group? So this is what we're trying to tackle, trying to have clear definition of what is valuable in the community and be consistent and try to rectify all the shortcomings of the past in a constructive way. That's right. That's right. That's right. That's right. Uh, Also, a very important quote for you guys to use. Sometimes you want to actually help other black people. Like, for example, you might be in the park and there's a black person and they're saying a whole lot of things against another group, right? And by standing with them, it might actually undermine what you're doing because, for whatever reason, someone will come and blame you or a fight will kick off. So when you talk to them, you say, I wouldn't say that, brother, because hold on, I'm on the wrong bit. I'm actually on the wrong bit. Oh, yeah, I'm right there. Don't mistreat non-black people because one, it's not nice, and two, it can be used to undermine black progress. So sometimes if you tell someone not to say certain things because it's not nice, they don't care. But then you go, oh yes, but then someone might use what you're saying to undermine our progress, and then hopefully you get through them. Just trying to make people constructive as possible when we try to catch black band and try to lower the trolling and the salacious kind of stuff. Unless it's propaganda, of course, but then that's fine. Collectively, black people have no friends, blah blah blah. I'm just trying to think anything else. Family, we're about to leave. Oh, very important. The 3 A's. It's actually the 4 A's have changed now. I should update that. So when we try and change something, we have to. What we're saying is first there's awareness, and awareness is black people are collectively inadequate, and collectively black people have no friends. Then there's the aim to improve black people's economics, self-esteem, and betterment in areas of activity. Then there's the action, how to do that. We promote black betterment. We actually start businesses. We marry each other. We try to formulate collective groups to do that does the work as constructive. And then assimilation meaning that if we do that consistently on a grassroots level, it will happen by osmosis on the bigger scale. So there you have awareness, which I have written down here, then the aim, then the action, then the assimilation. The 4 A's of change, not 3, but there you go. Let's see what else. Sometimes when you want to practice black betterment, someone says black's a bad word. They say we're not black, we're African, or something like this. You go, that's fine. We use a synonym star. I pronounce it really bad. The synonym star, and that means one word means more than one thing. Here's your solution. So black betterment could be black or more, African, Aboriginal, Abulan. Said that wrong. Israelite, indigenous, colored, Negro, Nubian, Moorish. It doesn't matter. Yeah, don't want to get in circles about color codes. Welcome, brother Kel, to the broadcast. Good to have you here.
Black Betterment, brother Raven.
Black Betterment.
Black Betterment chat, and yeah, brother man, the show. If you could put light to what have I missed, then we can go into it as usual, brother. Big up, man.
So what we're covering this week, family, for those who join new as well, there's an unfortunate situation where a sister went to turn her goods into an Asian vendor shop or beauty shop, and then he started attacking her, getting a chokehold after she tried to take the products because he didn't refund it. And we were saying that most black men respond very quickly and were against that, and many turned up outside the store and did certain things outside the store. So we're demonstrating, at least in the UK, we're seeing black men wanting to protect black women from an optical standpoint, on a branding standpoint. That's very important because they're trying to fix or change the narrative that black men don't protect black women and black women are the most unprotected collective group in the world. We definitely want to change that. So that's that. And then we were talking about scammers and how the long effect of scamming makes people not want to support black betterment or B1 or Pan-African ideas because they assume that many conscious or woke people might be scammers. So we're trying to establish how could we work out a person scammer. And we're using the Brother Polite as an example because he had a history of scamming that kind of went unchecked. And then he's scamming. He also had a history of well, here's a new history of mistreating children, which is why he's in jail. But the area of interest we have after he's been in jail is the fact that he showed us some behavior patterns and the fact that he was a consistent scammer. And we showed a collation video of many people complaining about scams he did to them and they were ignored. And I think that's important that, whenever you see fire, you've got to investigate. And in the UK, Canada, America, wherever it is, you've got to be the same. Whenever we see problematic behaviors, scam behaviors, or people saying they suspect something's up, we got to investigate it. And then that correlated to the Somali sister in America, where she was saying a lot of, well, she said she was hitting a brick hitting a brick by a Haitian brother, but people suspect that actually that was a made up story, and she did it to raise money for sympathy, and they did that because she was in a ninja mask in a party a few hours earlier, and no one could see her face, and they suspect that she has an allergic reaction or she's injecting herself with some kind of something that make her face look swell so she can claim she was hit. And people were saying, why was she not trying to get the attacker in jail or at least named at all or ID'd? Her main focus was to not embarrass, but highlight men for not protecting her. But the question is, I think when you listen to the video, they even say, who hit you? I think someone even said that. So even some people are confused. So, but the moral of the story is, unfortunately, the sister looks like she might be scamming. And she also has other problematic behavior patterns as well, because she does like cosplay white supremacy stuff on her channel, where she pretends to slap white people and call them names, whatever it is. And we were going down into the case, and it's very good to bring up again that black people are a collection of a collection. So in the black community, you're going to have Haitians, Somali, Ethiopian, Nigerian, and you can go Yoruba. You can say so many different variable groups, right? And what we have to recognize is these different groups have different historical challenges. So when we go around those different groups, we have to be very respectful and mindful that there's certain things that they've gone through that we haven't gone through, right? So we can't really play that. And I think what the sister was doing was, when she jumped in and she's saying, "I'm a black woman," and then black men are bad, and the black men didn't defend me, and then she's going around playing with European men in a cosplay to say, "I'm going to slap you for practicing racism and whatever," and then start dancing and twerking. This is unacceptable. This is unsynchronized, and part of the thing we were saying is black men check black men, but black men have to check rap, because when the sister first came out, a lot of black women weren't best pleased with her, what they alleged happened to her. But we're saying that those same sisters have to go back and say, wrong is wrong, sister. You need to correct yourself. So this is what, and after that you jumped in.
Well, brother, if we're trying to filter out the scammers, we know that organizations, for example, the UNIA, is that they would always ask the people then to fund an institution that's going to be better for the people. You see, not just one individual.
Yes.
It's always been that way. We know with the Black Star Line and the Doll Factory, etc. And we can say Dr. Umar Johnson as well with the school. You see that when it's funded for an institution, right, then we can say, oh, this is for all of us. You see, but if it's gonna be for an individual,
yes,
no disrespect to anyone, what I'm about to say, like pastors, imams, and things like that, where it's just going for them. We know, brother, that the creator don't need all this money. You see what I'm saying, bro? He don't need. We need it because we're going into institutions that has capitalized on our culture essence and pushing us out. So we need that money. The creator doesn't. So that's how we can always filter out these bad apples. But nevertheless, brother, we've spoken many times in regards to the black woman.
Yes.
I believe, yes, it was a Somali sister, right? The Somali women, unfortunately, no different than the rest of the black women. There are a lot of unsynchronized black men, brother,
yes,
that are beating black women. And as we've spoken before, that the black struggle is a commodity. You see, so when you want to seek some form of justice, instead of it being a synchronized way, you can do it in a way that triggers our dopamines. Because you and I know, brother, especially the organization that we're involved with, right, is that Pan-Africanism's on the rise, brother. You see, and you're getting all different types of tribes. They're uniting on the continent, in Europe, etc., and that, right? So you will get unsynchronized African descendants who will say to themselves, well, because no one was there for me in the past, right? I'm getting mine now, while everyone's dopamines is on unity, and I can get something out of it. And we have to kind of be very mindful of that, because, yeah, there are a lot of hustlers who are unsynchronized. But we can't take away the fact that there are black men, brother, unfortunately, unsynchronized ones, that are mistreating the black women. So they're out for revenge. You know what I mean?
Yeah. This is. I mean, and that's why this sister, she was tapping into a narrative of bashing black men, and because we're aware that there are many black men who are completely unsynchronized, and they'll use their actions as the kind of norm, and that's why as men we have to call out men who abuse women, and black women have to call out any kind of foul behavior from sisters, and segueing into foul behavior, we're gonna probably cover at some point. But as you know, I don't really listen to modern music at all. I only really see it on feeds, so I don't really know the albums and the names. But
Right.
what's happening is they're giving record deals to women who promote. I mean, there's always been over sexuality, but it's now become to the extreme where it's, where it's like I can't even mention some of the stuff, but it's almost like allowing pornography vocalists to just be in the mainstream. And I'm saying this: there's many different unique arts and trends and risque kind of stuff. And I say leave that for the niche. I think we shouldn't be seeing this kind of stuff on award ceremonies or mainstream radio or TV at a certain time or whatever. It should be, if you're going to have these kind of very graphic kind of talk, and this still goes across the board, even with violence and this kind of stuff, or gangsterism or whatever, in a certain way. I think all this in moderation and niche, that's whatever. When it becomes the mainstream, then this is problematic. And the reason I mention is because it's unfortunately other communities really, not only do they own their own kind of identity, whatever, but they protect it really well. And we always give examples of when black men would say something against, say, the Jewish community, maybe a kind of word or something, they'll come out and shut it down straight away. And that's what we're not kind of doing when it comes to the mainstream representation of black ideas, or black people performing and what they're paying. But I was going to segue into some in Poland. If you haven't seen it, guys, let me know if you see it in the forum, guys. Pick up the names there. They're in Poland. They've got this. In England, we call it stars in their eyes, but over there they've got something else where I think the contestants have to dress up like a modern pop guy, a person, and sing. And what's happened is obviously hip hop is very popular in Poland. And so Drake, what's the other guy's name? The Weeknd, Yeezy. I think his name is Yeezy. There's one other guy, Kendrick Lamar. They've literally in full blackface, winning competitions, rapping and dressing like these people. And people, for me, people say, well, the history is they might not really understand blackface is different thing. And for me, I'm not really talking about the blackface element, and I'm talking about it's just by being off code on one level, it escalates in other dimensions. So let me show you the path for people out who are listening, right? You're in a studio and you have a choice to make empowerment songs or black Betterment songs, but you talk about N-word and this kind of stuff, right? Which we understand. What happens now, you now make a hit song where it's all around the world, and in your chorus and in your verses is end this, end that, and. Now what happened is you have Europeans, non-black people screaming the N-word at you on stage, but it's now got to the point now where there is a European in blackface on stage shouting the N-word, and then people in the crowd shouting it back. You see, so this is exactly how the minstrel show worked, wasn't it? Right? You had white people in blackface cursing black people, and then people in the crowd cursing it back. So what's happened? It's now become a Monday minstrel, and this is why you have to understand how when you start something here, it grows, right? So if can you imagine now? And we'll cover this maybe next week. It's a good one to cover. Can you imagine if these rap artists or singers, whatever, their song was about black love, like the reggae guys do, or black economics, and now you have all people screaming words like, you know, each one teach one, black owned, black businesses. I love the black woman. The black woman's beautiful. There's no one better than a black woman. That kind of, and that becomes your pop song. Now you have these people shouting these things. This is more adequate. This is more high principle, right? And this is when I say black people are collectively inadequate, is because not realizing that even by design, people prefer to be degrading, and then that becomes a popular thing. And then that ties them back to these two sisters that I think the brother mentioned, Sexy Red and Sukuna, I think it's Sukana, something like this, where I think they're seen on like some kind of, they've been invited to like very high maintenance award shows run by Europeans, and then they're on the rug shaking themselves and doing twerking stuff, and it's just it's a bit much. You don't really observe that in other communities. You will never see that in Asian awards or country awards or something like this. So it's something just to be aware of. But we might cover it next week. I don't know. Anyway, guys, what's your views on that, family? Feel free to jump. We're gonna go on for a few more minutes, and we're gonna end unless anyone wants to jump in, of course.
Well, brother, I would say is this thing. What's going on is that when we're dealing with the non-Africans, because of their collective power, their women can afford to have that promiscuous type of image.
Yes.
You see, we know in the UK, brother, that they have naked parades.
Yeah, they do.
You see, the Ice Woman does all that. You see, some would say the Ice Woman is the most promiscuous and things like that, but because she has that power, brother, right? She has the ability, as you know, to be promiscuous, vulgar, and nobody will ever say to themselves, "This is not the one I should marry." When it comes to us sisters, brother, because of the brothers again, not formulating institutions and collectively shutting them down when they're behaving a certain way, they reach a level where it's like, well, there's not really a lot of black men that are wanting to provide for black women, unfortunately. And sex does sell. So because they're not looking after us, we can use our image. Now, I understand they have to survive, but the thing is, if the black woman does do that, she's got to be very mindful that your image will always be that, because we don't have collective power to let the world know that the black woman can be that, but she can also be smart as well. You see, using the knowledge and the narrative, right? Yeah, but you need the authority of controlling things to push it down people's throat that the black woman's more than that. We don't have that. So that's like the downfall. If we don't create these institutions, then the black woman will be falling into a trap, unfortunately. And as far as the thing, bro, I remember years ago, bro, when I was going for like a security badge, like years ago and that, right? And I remember one time, like I was in a classroom, because as you know, brother, because we don't control certain institutions, we have to go into the non-African institution, get the thing and formulate our own type of business, right? And I remember, I was talking to, a non-African, and he was talking about the hip hop, etc. And he for some reason he was talking about the N-word. I remember it very well because you've mentioned about the N-word, etc. And I was explaining to him that the N-word is very offensive, and I would never use a word that as being a derogative word against you. And he's trying to debate me and convince me it's okay. The non-African, it's okay because black people said it's okay.
Yes.
So I'm telling him that it's not okay, and he's trying to debate me and getting very passionate that it's okay because other black people says it's okay. Now we have to analyze that, Brother Raven. Why are other black people giving the permission to non-African people to call us the word? And it's the unsynchronized African descendants, brother, is where we have to tackle. We have to shut them down, brother, because they will never do these things, non-African people, unless they've been given the red card or the green card to do these things. We are to blame once again, brother, unfortunately.
Well, listen, what you say is important, and what we try to do is we try to think of, because what you said, I actually was there when it was happening in Speaker's Corner, where Asian guys were saying it, and they said, "Oh no, it's and they tried to argue with constructive black people that they should be allowed to say the N-word." What I tend to do is, depending on who you're talking about. So I remember there was a in America there was a Chinese individual who used to say the N-word every 7 seconds, and what I would say to Chinese people is, well, look, why don't they be original, right? We know that the European has mistreated Chinese people as well in the past, and he came up with a whole lot of terrible words that you can use instead. So, there's a word they I think one word they use "ching," which is an offensive word. There's also another word they use a term that's known as "yellow peril," and yellow peril was a concept that the yellow men are coming to take over the world and take the white woman. So you know you can use "I'm a yellow peril." You can use the ching chong. There's a whole lot of racist terms that the white supremacists would use to mistreat Asian and Chinese people. So rather than you shout the N word, you've got your own word. So why don't you be original? And if you don't mind, maybe would you like me to shout those words at you as well? Oh, you don't. Okay, you see. So you start turning around, and that's what turned. And this same thing works with Arabs, because the good thing about white supremacy, if there ever could be one good thing about it, in the context of this, is it mistreats everyone. So you'll find that they have terms for the Arabs, they have terms for the Indians, they have terms for black people, they have terms for the Asian people. And if all those groups will not just stand on mistreating black people, well, there's plenty of terms we can replace it with, and why don't we try and set it back to see if you like that? So when I say that, that's when they start backpedaling and they keep quiet. See,
I do remember. I remember going. I don't know if you can remember. There was even a comic book. Is it Manchu? Do you remember that thing? There was
Manchu. That's the
if
first
you're
one.
old enough, you would know that. That's just like blatant. You know what I mean? On racism on them. But you're right, man. We should use it against them. Totally agree.
Yeah, I mean, we were going to cover comics because we'll do it sometime. We're going to cover the history of comics and how black people were portrayed in comics. And when comics came out, remember, white supremacy was heavily integrated in every facet of life in the European world. So when comics was invented or became popular in the golden age, every black person was mistreated. But then not just every non-white person was mistreated. And in that time, you saw the yellow peril. And that's so. There's the word. So, guys, when you get time, you can Google yellow peril. I'll give you a link to Wikipedia, and it shows you the concepts of what Europeans were doing to Asian. But it's very important that even though you see Europeans, white supremacy, mistreating Asian people, and we definitely don't want anyone to be mistreated, that doesn't mean that the Asian man and the black man is in the same boat.
That's right.
No,
That's right.
You know, it's very important because sometimes what happens is we see other people being mistreated and go, "Oh, well, he's been mistreated, and we've been mistreated, so let's jump in the same boat." No, sir. That never works. What happens is you go in full with your full. I'm going to do it. They give half here, half there, and before you know it, you're at the bottom. And that's why in every single collective grouping, no matter what it is, whenever you see black people, we'll always be at the bottom, while everyone else will be at the top. So the only solution is Pan-Africanism, B1, Black Betterment, or any ideology that tells you to fix your own people before you do anything else. And that's why when we talk, how we segue to scammers is You have to ask them what institution are you part of? Because we don't do the
Yeah.
individual stuff, and what are the principles of it? Do you value black women and black love and black economics and black ownership, black families? If you do, and the stuff you're doing collates to pushing that, then here's my money. Now, before we go, family, on the screen we've got the 4 A's of advancement, and your homework is to help finish this. So we have to refine it, but we're saying that we have the awareness, and the awareness is that black people are collectively inadequate, and we're aware of Ham's redemption, which is making black men not want to be black women, and we're aware that unfortunately black men are struggling to build black industries. So this is the awareness of the problems we have: black inadequacies, Ham's redemption, no black industries, right? And the aim is to promote black betterment and replace error-prone actions with high-principle actions. And we're writing there as well. So that should reverse that, right? Because that's what Black Betterment does. It makes you do everything black, and that means correct those issues. And then we highlight what those actions look like, and then how achievement looks like. So that's the 4 A's of advancement there, just for you to think about when you're at home. We did that. So yeah, I guess, guys, unless there's anyone who wants to jump in and say something, we are pretty much at the conclusion of our show. So anyone want to jump in, let us know anything you want to say, or if Brother Kel wants to go off on and a narrative, he most certainly can. Very important contributor.
Yeah, but if you need to go, then you know, I mean, I don't mind at all. It's just I came a little bit late, but as I said, it's a very important topic, because you know we have to kind of tackle these scammers, man, and the only way forward is basically, as you're saying, to find out what's it for. Funny enough, when I was in the Birmingham City Centre, I came across some of our people who want to help youth. They wear like a blue high vis, and they have like a notebook,
right?
And you know, when you ask them questions, oh, is it for all black people or is it all for other races? And then they'll tell you, oh, it's for the youth. Okay, what kind of youth? And then you kind of like filter out that it's not for us. So
yes,
beware, people, those who are synchronized, that our people are doing this now. The government are getting them to kind of get us to pay for all youths, even though the other non-African youths, they're sorted. So yeah.
That's a very good point you done there. I think we can use America as an amazing case study because with the Stop Asian Hate bill, which they're pushing, whenever the COVID thing happened and Asians were being mistreated by certain groups, the first thing they said was, we must stop this, and we can do that by having a bill that says Stop Asian Hate bill. And they're very particular Asian. But with black people being lynched, killed, murdered by police, there is no actually Stop Black Murder bill or Stop Black Boys being killed or murdered bill. And that's why we saw, I think Kamala Harris was her name, where she said she'll never do anything for black people specifically. This is her sister whose dad is black. So
yeah,
you see. So one of the most important things of black betterment, that it's in the title. You see, we identify who we're trying to help, because here's your homework, family. Have you realized that gay people, lesbian, women, trying to think, Jewish people, Asian people, you name it, right? Whatever group, they're allowed to openly say their group and what they're trying to do. But when it comes up with black people, there seems to be a fear to. I've been in meetings with just black people in the room, and there's a fear to mention helping black people, like that. Literally go on the table. This is part of being collectively inadequate, and obviously being collectively subservient, and being trained to do that. And that's what we're trying to break with Black Betterment. That's why part of the code and part of the promotion and propaganda is to literally promote black people, helping black people, and black issues, and make that as easy to digest as possible. Because think of it, how comes every other group does it so well, but our group seems to struggle to even announce it? This is learned behavior, because unfortunately we were conquered, and we haven't been unconquered, you see, mentally. There's a small percentage of brothers and sisters who are aware, and they are the custodians who are going to work with other custodians to correct this issue. But family, we are at the end of our show, so feel free. We're going to leave by saying, don't forget, we're going to be promoting Black beauty businesses to replace the Asian ones that mistreat Black people, which is happening quite consistently across the globe. So feel free in the comment section of this particular show to highlight any Black businesses that you know, and then we'll try to collate them in a database and promote them on the next show or another show. But until then, family, Black Betterment, Brother Count.
Black Betterment, Brother Raven. Black Betterment.
That day.